pretty much for as long as I have been collecting. And that's a car. Hello, I'm the Pirate Novelist, your captain through the rough seas of media, and welcome to one of my many Record Store Day videos I hope to be making. This one is kind of my thoughts on the list itself, my history with Record Store Day, and what's on my what list for this year. So without further ado, let's start looking into it. I'm going for Record Store Day for about 3 or 4-ish years, pretty much as long as I have been collecting. My very first Record Store Day, I didn't know what it was. I just kind of knew, oh, this would be kind of fun to go to and just go and see what was at the store that day. And I was like, what is this? Record Store Day? What kind of event is this? So I pulled these out because I thought I'd just like to talk about them. I got my Biffy Clyro Black Chandelier. It's a clear black splatter. I'll put a picture of it up in here because I don't feel like taking it out of the sleeve right now. And I also got the New Found Glory Mania, which is the tribute to the Ramones. Mine's on a cool blue. I'll also put a picture up here of it. But I've loved Record Store Day for the longest time, and pretty much every single time that I've went, I've gotten everything I wanted except one. But that was for my Paramore Record Store Day release that I'd gotten. And even then, I got it online the same day, so no big bummer there. I think I have a pretty good track record. And usually my list is long, so I think I have a pretty good track record when it comes to Record Store Day. This year's Record Store Day marks the 10-year anniversary of Record Store Day. So for me, only going maybe less than half, that's kind of saying something. But for this year, I thought, well, they might be doing something a little different with the St. Vincent Record Store Day video being so good. I thought, well, maybe there might be something cool or something nice or big on the list. And while there are a few things on the list that I really do like, it has been lackluster in the last couple of years. And I'm going to get into that in a minute, but I felt that it was semi-disappointing in some regards, and then in other regards I thought was pretty good. So here is what I want on my want list. My want list is usually broken up into kind of tiers. So at the very top, I have my absolutely gotta have it. Underneath that is, okay, this is pretty cool, I want it. Underneath that is, okay, if I can't get what I want above that, maybe I'll go down to here. And below that is kind of nice to have. And my three main ones are pretty much predictable, if you ask me. There are two Bowie releases. There's a promo, and there's also the Cracked Actor, which is the 1974 live release. The Cracked Actor is actually not on top of my list, but very high on my list, so that's one of the things I'm looking forward to getting. I'm also looking for the Gatefold singles from Alice in Chains this year. I got the live album that came out on Black Friday, I believe it was. Yeah, Black Friday. And I absolutely loved that, so the next step has to be that for my collection. I'm also looking forward to the State of Love and Trust / Breath release that is coming out for Pearl Jam. So those are my top three big releases that I want, and I'm actually going to reference my list now so I can kind of go over, well, what else is on my list. The Avenged Sevenfold release is going to be on a picture disc. I've had a few picture discs, and overall, I'm okay with their quality. I heard that quality can be lacking on picture discs, but I haven't had too much of a bad experience with a picture disc. I think they're okay. I'm not going to exactly go out of my way to get them right now. If I find it to be a really cool kind of picture with the picture disc, I might just go ahead and grab it. So I'm going to go over a few of the picture discs that I thought are pretty cool. There's the Avenged Sevenfold, which is the first time that's being released on vinyl from what I've read. There's the Cure Greatest Hits and Greatest Hits Acoustic that's going to be coming out. There's also, I know there was a Motorhead release, a Hailstorm release that I had my eyes on that seemed pretty cool. And even there's a Prince 7-inch. Now, I've had the Bowie 7-inch picture disc, and I thought that was pretty cool, so I might just go ahead and grab that 7-inch if I happen to see it. Speaking of Prince as well, sorry about that, I'm actually referencing my list here. Speaking of Prince as well, there seems to be there seems to be 6 maxi single releases. Those seem kind of cool and interesting. We also have the Iron Wine Archive Series number 3, which I think is kind of cool. It's on this blue 12-inch from what I see. There's a cool surprise. 400 out of the, however many there's going to be released, 1,200. Yeah, apparently 400 out of the 1,200 are actually going to have golden tickets, and what that means is you could get into any Iron Wine show for life, with limitations, of course, but they say limited limitations, which is kind of cool if you actually look at their website. There's a Stevie Ray Vaughan release, a Gerard Way release that seems kind of cool. Def Leppard's EP, their first ever EP is getting released. I thought that would be kind of cool. There's a Flaming Lips LP coming out. There is a Group Love EP. Of course, I talked about the Hailstorm EP. That's going to be on a cool picture disc. I think that'd be kind of cool to have. There's a Pink Floyd 12-inch picture disc, which is like an extended version of a song. If I can't exactly think about it, I'll put it here somewhere on the video. There's the Ike Reiko, which I'm only going to breeze over that. If you want to take a look at that, go look at the Record Store Day site, which I'll put in the link in the description. There's a really expensive Goo Goo Dolls release, which I think is kind of cool, but it's a little out of my price range for kind of what I do. Every year I like to budget out a set amount of money, and I go off the Record Store Day list and Bull Moose's website. Bull Moose is a really cool record store. I've not physically been there, but I bought from them many, many times. I'll leave a link in the description for them. But I usually go off of their prices, and that helps me kind of know what to expect come Record Store Day. Of course, there's the Space Jam release, which I think is kind of cool. The Blade Runner soundtrack is kind of fun. Yes, 90125, which has Owner of a Lonely Heart, which I think I have a maxi single for. I'll have to double check and confirm on that. There's a Blondie release that's kind of cool. There was going to be a Runaways release, but apparently it's been canceled. I'm not too sure. I'll have to double check, but that seemed to be kind of cool coming out. There's a Sting live release, and there's also Toto has a cool kind of shaped single. There's also a Tegan and Sarah release, but it's actually Sarah and Tegan because it's their very first record that they ever put out that's going to be pressed. Also an Offspring album. I think it's their very first album that's going to be released. I kind of like to have. There's a Sublime with Rome unreleased demos. It's kind of cool. And then there's also going to be a More Stay in the Time release, which I'm a fan of Purple Rain, and this one intrigued me because those of you who don't know, Prince actually not ghost wrote, but actually wrote for More Stay in the Time under a pseudonym. And even though, you know, More Stay in the Time was the rival of Prince's band, The Revolution, in Purple Rain, he actually wrote all the music for that movie. So I think that's just kind of cool to have, just kind of be part of that piece of history. There's another one, if you know what my avatar is, it's the TARDIS, and there's a Doctor Who release. Now, I wasn't able to get the Doctor Who release last year, but I heard mixed reviews on that. But this one is a legitimate audio release, and the second disc apparently has sound effects, which I'm really looking forward to. That has to be on my want list. Along with the Motorhead release, there is a Saxon release, which I think is kind of cool. You can tell my taste in music is mostly rock and roll, but one thing I do want to say is I kind of wish, and I've said this in my podcast too with DJ Lone Wolf HD, my co-host, that I kind of wish there was more hip-hop releases. Not for myself personally, but I feel that this day is for everybody, and you should at least have more than a handful of things that you want. And not saying that, you know, it's a bad thing that I just want so much. It's just I have a lot of not a good taste in music, but my taste is not, it's mainstream and eclectic at the same time. So I'm more free and open to listening to a few different things. But For those people who are just strictly for one genre or one genre or one genre, I wish there was a little bit more hip-hop and world music releases. I don't see too many on this list. For those of us who listen to a whole bunch of things or just against the grain or want something a little bit different in their collection. And I think that's where the fault is in this list for this year. Now I'd like to talk about the side-by-side series. What that is one band, one side. They're on one single, one band plays one version of the song, the other band plays another. If you watched my Record Store Day video last year, I bought the mystery side-by-side, which is you don't know what's on there, and it was MC5 and I believe the Melvins. And I'll leave a link to that video in the description, but it's two bands doing the same song. So there's Tegan and Sara, The Regrets, Back in Your Head. There's the Talking Heads and Whittling, There Must Be the Place. Another one on my radar is the Two Door Cinema Club one. That looks kind of cool. My buddy will like this one. There's a Stevie Nicks release coming out. Jimmy Page and the Black Crowes. I think that would be kind of cool. Although I think I'm just going to save up and buy the whole album rather than just have snippets of there. It looks like it was only 3 songs, so I might not exactly want that. There's a Sex Pistols 7-inch box set. There's a Santana release, which looks like it was his first set at Woodstock, which would be kind of cool. There's a Chili Peppers release, a Ramones singles box set. We've already gone over the Prince, of course. Fleetwood Mac is coming out with one. There's Jane's Addiction, which I think is kind of cool. Another set of the Kinks EPs that are there. Lumineer Song Seeds. Okay, so apparently this is Cleopatra. I think it was Cleopatra. It's one of the songs off Cleopatra where you kind of get to hear different demo versions of that song, which I think is kind of cool if you're a really big fan of Lumineers. I like their music a lot, so I think that might be cool to have. There's a Marcy Playground release. Bullet for My Valentine release. I've already talked about one of the Bowie releases, but there's another one called Bow Promo, which is a very rare Bowie promo album. I don't know what era it is off the top of my head. There's an All Time Low MTV Unplugged, which I think is kind of cool. The Dillinger Escape Plan, I kind of like them. I think that's kind of cool of a release. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Emerson, Lake and Palmer release. Now this is on FlexiDisc. If you don't know what FlexiDisc is, it's basically not one step down from this, but think about a single being put on the plastic outside here. It's flexible, it's rubbery, not rubbery, but it's kind of like this here. It was a promo that came out for brain salad surgery. I went and I looked it up. I thought that was kind of cool, but I could probably find it on Discogs. It's not that much money if I happen to want to go find it, but I think it's just kind of cool to mention it. So that was kind of my overall thoughts, I guess, on Record Store Day. I'll probably post a few more videos here, but just kind of wanted to highlight the things that I thought were kind of cool on the list. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up for me. Leave a comment in the description and let me know what you're looking forward to for Record Store Day. I'm actually going to leave the Record Store Day list and all the cool links to all the places that I talked about in the description below. And until next time, as I always say, when waters get rough,